Hey everyone, welcome back to OzTober on iHeart Movies. My name is Jonathan North, and today we're going to be looking at two different adaptations of the Broadway musical The Wiz. I had never seen any version of this story, so I knew I wanted to use OzTober as my excuse to finally check it out. When I was thinking about who to ask on, I remember that Rachel Wagner had talked about being in a school play version of this musical, so I thought it might be good to have her on, since actually having been in the show, she would have far more insight into this version than I would, since I'd never even listened to the music. I originally planned to talk about the movie version, but during my research I found that there was actually a live musical version that aired on NBC a few years ago, so I thought it might be fun to watch both and compare the versions. I didn't know what to expect, but I ended up being really surprised by both, for completely different reasons.
I guess we can start with maybe how familiar we are with this story, because before I watched it for this, I was not familiar with this version at all. The only memory I have of even knowing this existed was coming across the DVD in a Best Buy and thinking, what is this? I've never heard of this before. And that was like 10 years ago or more. Maybe I'd heard mention of it a couple times after that, because I think I'd heard somebody mention like the black version of The Wizard of Oz. But other than that, I had no idea what this was.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm very familiar with it. When I was a freshman in high school, my theater group, my high school drama club did this musical, and we had our our teacher was named Mr. Nasalrod, and had super energy, and he had really built up the program to be something special and one of the top ones in the whole state. And it's such a great show for high school because it has so many leads. So many people get a song within the show,
Mhm.
which is not always the case in other musicals. Plus, it has lots of chorus parts too, which is what you want for a high school musical. You know, they then pretty much any kid can participate because it has huge chorus scenes with the flying monkeys, with the munchkins, with a lot of different scenes. But then, I mean, just there are so many. Aunt May has a solo. Obviously, Dorothy has solo. The wizard has a solo. All of her companions each have solos. Uh, the uh, the witches have solos, and so it's just nice that way, so that a lot of people can participate, which is what you want in a high school musical. And so it was really fun. We had a great time, even though we were all a bunch of white kids in suburban Maryland. We still had a lot of fun. I would think it maybe the more PC is maybe the soul version of
Mhm.
of the Wizard of Oz. And so yeah, I have very happy memories. The hardest part for me in any kind of theater is any kind of dancing. It's very difficult for me to learn dancing. I think I have a slight little bit of dyslexia, and it's just hard for me to get the moves down. And someone will show it to me, and I'll have it for like 30 seconds, and then I'll go like 2 minutes and like, okay, do it. It's completely gone. I completely forgot. Like, it's very difficult for me to learn dancing. And so I had to work so hard to learn these dances to be in the chorus, the Munchkins and the Flying Monkeys chorus. And it was kind of sad because our our teacher, Mr. Nizarod, this was his last play that he did for us. And then we got a new teacher who was like fresh out of college, and she had really strange tastes. Like, she kept picking things that were very outdated, and I don't know why she did. It was still fun, but wasn't as much fun as doing the ones that he had done. But she did do Bobby Birdie, which is another great one for high school that has a ton of chorus scenes and a ton of solos. So anyway, that was kind of my high school experience.
Had you seen the movie when you were in the musical?
We watched it together, and I've never been a big fan of the movie. I think that it has a lot of problems.
Yeah, the movie, I don't want to say I didn't like it because I think I did, but there were several things about it that I was like, this could have been so much better.
I
Like,
mean, it's pretty hard to have a Wizard of Oz when you miscast Dorothy so egregiously. I mean, Diana Ross is way too old to be playing Dorothy.
I think that
She's
was one of
way
my biggest issues with it.
Yeah, and she's just way too much of a sad sack. I know that Dorothy is supposed to be kind of troubled, but there's always, because she's a child, not a like, I don't know how old
Hmm.
Diana Ross was, but in her late 30s, I think, that there's something kind of whimsical about her, something kind of hopeful about her, something kind of sweet about her. And it just feels so mopey in this movie, and I just feel like the film is very joyless, and there's just not anything that's fun except for maybe a little Michael Jackson. The and it's just, yeah, it's not great, and I don't even really like the way that it's filmed. I don't think the choreography is very fun. I don't think anybody really has chemistry. It's just a mess. It doesn't work. So
Yeah, it's just I don't really know how to describe it because on the one hand, I really liked the different reinterpretations of things, but on the
mhm.
other it seemed like it was executed badly.
Yeah.
Like I like what they were going for, but they didn't quite get to where they were wanting to go, I feel like. It's hard to really explain, but Dorothy was one of the biggest problems because she just like at the beginning I was like she's so sad like and then I was thinking, well, this is probably how she is at the beginning. This is going to be her character arc and
Yeah.
she's going to be a lot better by the end. And
No.
she wasn't.
No, she wasn't.
So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't realize like the only version that I'd ever heard of was the movie version. I didn't realize that it had started as a play. I thought the play was based on the movie.
Oh, right.
And so watching the movie and then starting to read about it and then finding the new version from 2015, I realized that the movie version was based on the play and the movie version changed a lot. Like
Yeah.
there was so much that was a lot closer to the book in the play, which I was really surprised by. Like in some ways, I feel like The Wiz is more faithful to the book than The Wizard of Oz was.
Mhm.
Uh, Especially like even in little things like the silver shoes, like the ruby slippers, of course, are now iconic, but that's one thing that they were a lot closer
Uh,
to. They included some like minor characters and creatures.
it's one of the hard things about anybody making new versions of Wizard of Oz is because all of the iconic things that were part of the original movie, for the most part, are all trademarked by
Hmm.
MGM, and so nobody can really use the ruby slippers. There's just a ton of stuff, and so it makes it difficult to make something that feels that I feel like they have to kind of dig deeper, which I guess could be interesting. But I don't know. I haven't liked any versions of movie versions of Wizard of Oz. The only follow up versions I've liked are in theater with Wicked, and then with this
Hmm.
in theater. I don't know. Some movies it just doesn't work for me. So, but I really like the play. I have very fond memories of it, and the live one, like you're saying, 2015, is way more joyful, way more fun, way
Definitely,
better
definitely.
cast. It still has some of those awkward things that you get in live musicals, but that's also kind of the charm of these live musicals. And it's certainly up there in the, I think, the top quadrant of these live musicals, when
Mm.
you compare it to something like, I don't know, like Peter Pan was terrible. A lot of them have been super cringy, but this one I thought was pretty good.
I've never seen any of the other live musicals. I remember hearing that they were making them, but I never ended up
Oh,
watching
really?
any of them. And
Yeah.
then after I watched this one, I was like, well, this was really good. Maybe I should go back and look. And I was like, oh, they have Peter Pan. I wonder what that's like. But now you're saying it's horrible.
It was terrible. There's a bunch that were really, really bad. The Hairspray is quite good. I liked that one a lot. I haven't seen all of them. I heard the Rent one was a huge problem because one of the guys playing one of the lead characters, I guess, broke his foot in the final rehearsal, and so they
Mm,
actually used they actually broadcast, I guess, the final rehearsal, which didn't look as good as what they had planned.
mm,
So I don't know. I was like, how could they not have an understudy? That's crazy to me. But
yeah.
evidently, that's what I heard. But yeah, they've done so many of them that. But I really just liked the Sound of Music. But I have huge nostalgia for the original. Anyway, there've been a bunch of them. They did Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I didn't watch that one. And they all do pretty well. They get pretty good ratings. They did the Christmas Story musical, which I actually liked. A lot of people hated it. I thought it was cute, but I'm a sucker for Christmas movies. So what can I say? But yeah. Anyway, I think I would much more recommend watching the live than the movie.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah. The movie was interesting, but I can't say that I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoyed seeing how they interpreted different things. But when I watched the 2015 one, then I was like, I love this version.
Hmm.
Like, I really love that version. It was
Yeah.
just so, like you said, joyful. It was so much more joyful than the movie.
Yeah.
The movie was just, it kind of was dark
Yeah.
in some weird ways, and the 2015 live version didn't have that issue at all.
Agreed.
I kind of want to go through the scenes just to talk about the differences between the versions,
Okay.
because there's some big differences that I was not expecting. Like, when I watched the movie first, of course, so it opened up with them living in New York. I don't know where they were living exactly, but it kind of reminded me of the Cosby Show a little bit, or it, I got like
Yeah.
Reading Rainbow and Sesame Street vibes from it too, just because they all had that kind of, I don't know, 70s ish vibe back when I was really little watching Sesame Street and Reading Rainbow and the
Hmm.
Cosby Show. And the whole opening scene with them at home, like, I think it was Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah. It's supposed
I
to be in
just
Harlem. And
Okay. I was like having flashbacks to Cosby Show, Sesame Street, and Reading Rainbow. I don't know why.
yeah.
It was a weird mix, but that's what it reminded me of.
Hmm.
And I liked that scene, but the song, and even before I'd seen the 2015 version, I was like, this song seems so out of place. This does not seem like somewhere where this song should be going. Like, why is she singing to this random girl? Because I knew who Dorothy was. So I was like, this girl is not Dorothy. And then she was just going around singing this song to all these different people. It's like, who are these people? Why is she
Yeah.
singing to them? It was just weird. And the song seemed okay, but I didn't really like that part of the scene. And then you have Toto. The whole scene with her like getting swept away in the tornado, that was weird because first Toto runs out the door into the blizzard. I was like,
Yeah.
animals do not do that. If an animal is inside and there's any sort of inclement weather, the animal does not want to go outside. You have to make them go outside if they're going to use the restroom.
Yeah, I think that also one of the things the original Wizard of Oz does well is that they're able to keep Aunt Em and Uncle Henry likable, even
Hmm.
though they're kind of, a little bit tough, I would say, a little bit,
Yeah, definitely.
because you see Mrs. Gulch and she's taking away Dorothy's puppy,
Hmm.
and you see Aunt M kind of ream out Mrs. Gulch,
Hmm.
and so that immediately kind of endears you to her, even though she's kind of a tough cookie. And I feel like a lot of these other versions kind of miss that, And so it makes for the whole, especially Return to Oz. Like Aunt Em's the worst in that. And so it makes her journey to try to get home feel less compelling than it is in, because in Wizard of Oz, by the time she meets the peddler, she's basically pretty much ready to go back, and he just gives her, you know, a little speech or everything, and then she heads back, but then gets in the storm. And so I don't know. I feel like the tone is an underrated part of why that movie is such a masterpiece, is because they're able to really get you sort of, you're so engaged in all of the characters, and you're really really rooting for Dorothy, and you just become so attached to her.
That is true. With her aunt and uncle in this movie, I wasn't attached to them at all.
No,
Like, and
no.
it was, the whole scene was kind of weird because they were, at least her aunt was trying to get her to quit her job teaching little kids to go teach teenagers. And I was thinking, those are two totally different jobs. Why does she think that she would even want to do that? Like, if I were given the choice between teaching little kids and teenagers, I would pick little kids any day. And I
Hmm.
don't even particularly want to teach little kids, but that seems like a way better job than teaching teenagers.
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer to teach, if I had to pick, who do I want to teach? I would teach. I would teach in college, or like a community college. I think would be the best.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I agree with you. And like, she's a grown up. Like, it just feels so much less authentic, and just makes her
yeah.
character very awkward, because she's not a child like Dorothy is a child,
Hmm.
you know?
Well, I already was thinking it was kind of weird that she was 24. And then it was even weirder when I found out she was like mid 30s.
Yeah. It's
So
like,
it
what is
was,
she doing?
her age didn't need to be a problem, but everything about the way she was acting made it a problem, I think.
Yeah.
It didn't really fit well.
Hmm. Like, it would have, if you were going to have Dorothy be older, it would almost make more sense. I don't know. Like, if you maybe added some kind of romance, maybe, I don't know, because it just, why would she want to go back to the situation where she's
Hmm.
like, her dream, No Place Like Home, should be her getting her own place, like getting away from these
Yeah,
people. She's an adult.
yeah,
So it doesn't work to me, and it just, the movie can't recover from Diana Ross's, and a kind of terrible acting and terrible performance. Even yeah, it's just, it can't recover from that.
yeah. It
But
it
yeah,
wasn't that great, but
no,
she wasn't the only weird choice, because especially in
yeah,
like the next scene when she goes out to chase down Toto, there's a snow tornado.
yeah,
It's like,
Snownado.
I know that snow tornadoes can exist, but they are extraordinarily rare. And as far as I know, they cannot happen in the middle of a blizzard because they need warm air colliding with cold air to create the cyclone. And like, a blizzard is just plain cold air. That's it. So, and then the fact that it's traveling down the center of the street, not touching any of the houses, just coming straight for her. And this is supposed to be
Hmm.
actually happening. Like, this is not a dream situation like the original MGM version. This is
Hmm.
literally happening. So this snow tornado is just traveling down the street, coming straight after
Yeah,
her.
right. It looks like something that's gonna have like sharks in it or something. Like
Hmm.
Sharknado. It does look
Yeah,
really, really bad.
it
Yeah.
was just, it was weird. And then she doesn't have the house. Like, that was another thing that I was sort of confused by, like, because I later found out that she does have the house in the stage version and the
Yeah.
2015 version. She's a child in that version, and that actually made a whole lot of sense, especially with her having recently lost her parents and now having to
Right.
live with her aunt and uncle, and that's where the tension was coming from. And I should mention that when they had that song in the 2015 version, I was like, this makes so much more sense, and I
Yeah.
liked that song in that way. In that
Right.
version, it made so much more sense.
Right.
But yeah, anyway, the farmhouse. She doesn't have the farmhouse. And so she gets swept up, and then the way they have her kill the witch is she hits some big street sign that says Oz when she's falling down into the land of Oz, and the Oz sign is what kills the witch. And she lands in some kind of a grain bin. And I was like, what is this? Like,
Right.
do you know what that was supposed to be? Like, Oz is supposed to be like inner city version of Wizard of Oz. So there's no grain bins. As far as I know, I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Maybe bread processing plant or something? Maybe?
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I
I
don't
have
know.
no idea.
New
But
York
this,
was different in the 70s.
well, it's the magic version of New York, so maybe it's like magic grain. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. There.
Oh, and I totally forgot to mention, while she's like flying in the tornado, there's like, and you find out later who it is, but there's this gigantic celestial sky goddess watching her, and she's like surrounded by all these star babies. And I was like, what is this? It was so weird that I actually liked it. It was like, this is so weird. I really like this choice.
Mm,
But then you don't see her again till the end when you find out it's actually Glenda. But it was
right.
just such a random thing to have happen. It's like, it doesn't serve any purpose. She's just random sky goddess.
Yeah. Yeah. What one of the songs is your favorite?
I want to say Ease On Down the Road,
Yeah.
because that one just got stuck in my head a lot. But I really liked Slide Some Oil to Me.
Mm-hmm.
That one was fun as well.
I really like, not as much in the movie, but Ease on Down the Road is one of my favorites. It is a bit of an earworm, but it's really a fun song. And then I really like her song Home. Just as I don't particularly love it in this version, but the song itself I think is such a pretty song.
Well, I do like the song in the next scene, but I think I liked more the idea of what was going on in the song rather than the
Mm,
song itself. Like, the song is good, but I really liked the idea of graffiti coming to life. And I
mm-hmm,
don't think that that was in the original version because it was not in the 2015 version.
mm-hmm,
So that was one of the changes that they made to the movie version that I actually really liked. I thought it was such a cool idea to have graffiti. Well, it was the Munchkins cursed to become graffiti, but just the
right.
way they did it, I thought was so cool, and I kind of missed that in the 2015 version. Like, I'm
Mm,
fine with them wanting to be more faithful to the original. That's fine. But I did really like the whole scene with the graffiti peeling out and then starting to dance. I was confused at first though. It's like, what are these? Because they were like making these noises when they were approaching. I was like, are these supposed to be the flying monkeys? But no, it was just a really cool idea, I thought.
yeah,
Just the
yeah.
graffiti coming to life.
I agree. That was fun.
And then you meet, in this version they call her Miss One, the Good Witch of the North. But that's not her name. I keep wanting to call her Tatty Poo, but that was the book, I think.
Oh yeah, forget thirst.
Ada Pearl.
Oh, that's right.
So in the Wiz version, her name is Ada Pearl, but they changed her name to Miss One for the movie version. And I'm not sure why. They had her like obsessed with numbers. And I can't remember if that was like something from the book or not. But even if it was, they changed it from the Wiz stage version because that
Hmm.
wasn't how she was. And I liked the version in the movie, but I really liked the version in the 2015 one.
Yeah.
Like, she was just so much more fun and energetic, and I loved her costume and I loved her hair. That was another change that they made, that it was okay, but like the 2015 one, that was the best.
Yeah.
She's just so much more fun.
He's the Wiz and he lives in Oz. Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah,
fun.
that's another good song. Like, there's so many good songs in this. I really like most of the songs. And a lot of them in the movie version I thought were really boring.
Yeah.
Like, I was like so bored I started doing something else when it was happening. But then when I watched the 2015 version, I was like, actually I really like this song because they were doing it so
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah. Like I said, the choreography was just really flat and just, I don't know, it wasn't interestingly filmed, edited. It just, I don't know. It is kind of
Yeah.
boring. I agree.
I think that was part of my problem, is because the shots were so static. Like
Yeah.
you'd have like long shots of her just kind of walking, and she'd be just this tiny figure walking across, singing a
Yeah.
song. Like in the next scene when she leaves, and she's walking through all these ruined buildings. It's really boring. She's just,
Yeah.
and I didn't really even, because I was not paying attention, I didn't really know where she'd gone. And I had to rewind it and then like fast forward through it to figure out what was going on, because she left and then it seemed like a post-apocalyptic landscape, like all these ruined buildings like sitting out in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of nowhere. I was like, how did she get from that city to here? And I still don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, because I feel like it's supposed to be one place, but whatever. I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
But there was a character here that I think they added to the movie version. This creepy little man with a tray full of dolls.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know who that's supposed to be. I don't think it's from the book. I don't think it's from the stage version. I think they added it to the movie version. There's like
Uh-huh.
this creepy tune that plays when he's around, that I kind of liked the creepy tune because it actually made me feel creeped out. I was
Yeah.
like, I actually like that like slightly creeped out feeling, but I didn't know who he was supposed to be. He was there and then he ran away and she calls after him and he doesn't stop, and you don't see him again until much later. It was just a weird scene.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And
was.
yeah,
Is he supposed to be one of the work for the witch?
I don't know.
Keeping
When I
an eye
first
on
saw him, I
her?
was like, is this a flying monkey? Because he doesn't look particularly human.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to make of him.
Yeah.
But
But what do you
then,
think of Home as a ballad, as an I Want song?
is that the one she's singing while she's walking
Yeah,
through his
that
landscape? I
uh,
mean, it was fine, but I was really bored, like I said. And I
uh,
think it was much better in the 2015
yeah,
version.
I think it's such a pretty song, but yeah, I agree, it's much better in the new one. The
Most of the slower songs are like that. They're just so boring in the movie version.
hmm
But then this is where you first meet the Scarecrow, and he's being tormented by crows. And are these crows supposed to be a reference to the Dumbo crows? Because they reminded me so much of the Dumbo crows.
yeah,
And
I
only this version, because in the next version they didn't seem like that at all. It's
yeah.
like, is the movie version supposed to be referencing the Dumbo crows?
I mean, I don't. It's hard to say. I definitely got those vibes,
Because
and
one even had glasses. Like in Dumbo, there was a crow with glasses. So I I was like, this is a weird thing for it to be referencing.
yeah, it could definitely be. You'd have to ask the people making it, but I definitely got those vibes for sure.
But the crows here were almost creepy because of their giant nose beaks. Like,
Yeah,
you didn't have this problem in the 2015 version. I loved the crows in the 2015 version, but these ones were weird and creepy, and I hated their giant noses. It was just, ugh. But the ones in the 2015 version, I thought were really cool. They had great costumes. They actually had some of them strung up on wires so they could fly around the stage. It just, it made them seem a whole lot more crow-like, even though they weren't wearing fake beaks.
yeah,
Just the 2015 version was so much better in
yeah.
every
I
way
I
than
don't know
this.
what they were thinking with that because it did look really weird for
Yeah.
sure. I agree. And you've got probably Michael Jackson at the height of his powers in this, so
Yeah.
uh, he brings some energy, I think, to both
I
of his
really
songs.
I really liked the choice, and I think it was unique to the movie version, to have him stuffed full of like a shredded book, and he was pulling out quotes and reading quotes while he finds
hmm
random quotes, and they're fitting for what they're going through. It's a little contrived, but I liked it. I
hmm
thought it added something nice to his character, but
Yeah,
that wasn't in the 2015 version, so I think that they made it up just
they
for the
added
movie
it.
version.
Yeah.
But this is where t- I realized in watching the 2015 version at this point that, oh, wait, she left Toto back home. Toto didn't go to Oz with her,
Yeah.
because in this version in the movie, Toto is like instrumental in chasing the crows away. So when you got to this scene, I was like, I realized, wait, Toto can't chase where's Toto? Because I think that they changed that for the 2015 version just because it would be hard to have a dog on stage for this live television production.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, but I was just at this scene I was just struck with Toto's missing. And you don't see him again until the very end in that version.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the Scarecrow teaming up with Dorothy and going. That's where you get the song "Ease On Down the Road," which I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think this is from the stage play because maybe it is, and maybe they changed it for 2015 version. I don't know, but in the 2015 version, it plays out a lot closer to the book. And in the movie version, you find the Tin Man in an abandoned amusement park, and he's some sort of automaton.
I
And
think they were trying to like it's sort of like a dystopian version of Coney Island, I think is what they were trying to do.
oh, okay, that makes sense. So was that from the Wiz stage version? Like when you were
All
in
the
it?
New York stuff isn't in there.
Okay, so that was another thing they changed for the movie then. So he's this automaton character, and he says something like he's been crushed under his fourth wife because there's this other giant metal person like sitting on him, but she's not alive. She's just there crushing him. So they rescue him from underneath her. And that's where you get another fun song, which is Slide Some Oil to Me. I think there was another song before that in the movie version, but it's not in the Wiz 2015 version. So I think that they added that to the movie version. But
Yeah.
I think the first one was a little more forgettable because I really liked Slide Some Oil to Me.
Yeah. The more soul kind of based songs, less poppy, are definitely better in this. The more upbeat, more I think are stronger.
So then you get to The Lion, which I I sort of liked their choice with The Lion and I sort of didn't, because I liked the fact that the lion was a statue outside of the library. I thought that was a really cool touch because it's New York. They've got the big lion statues. But
Yeah.
then they had him just hiding inside the statue. I wanted the statue to come to life. I thought that would have made
Oh
I
yeah.
thought that would have made so much more sense. Instead he's hiding there and he bursts out and I thought that was kind of dumb.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think in the 2015 version, it's a lot closer to the book again, where he's in the woods. So was he in the woods in the stage version, like when you were doing it?
No, that's going back a ways. I can't remember where he was.
Yeah.
In I can't. Sorry,
I just feel
but
like overall the choice to have him in the woods is better.
yeah, I
Even
mean,
though
he
I did
definitely
like,
wasn't in an apocalyptic
yeah,
Coney Island or uh, a museum. Know
yeah.
that for sure, but I cannot remember. I think he was in the woods, but I'm not positive, so don't hold me to that.
It makes more sense to have him in the woods just because it's closer to the book. But I did, if he was like the statue that came to life, I would like that better. I don't know why, I just
That
would.
makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
And then you have his song, I'm a Mean Old Lion, which I kind of liked, but it was one I was more middling on. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the creepy gremlin man again, because they all go down to the subway. And this part is not in the 2015 version, so I'm assuming that this is all added.
Mm-hmm.
Because this creepy man with all the dolls, he's following them. He's making his little hooting flute noises, and it's creepy. And then two of his dolls grow gigantic and start chasing them around the subway. I don't know why. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to reference any scene in the book. It's just weird. But then it gets even weirder because garbage cans start coming to life and growing teeth and eating the scarecrow. And then columns, like subway columns, like support beams, start ripping themselves out of the place and start chasing them. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no,
what
that's
is
so
going
weird.
on here? This is bizarre. And not in a good bizarre way. It's just a bizarre way.
Right. Yeah. The columns are especially bizarre. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's like, what is this even supposed to be here for?
I think that they had in our version at this point the basically like the poppies were kind of like a Greek chorus that were always kind of sort of they were a little bit in the background and then they're the
Okay.
yeah, I think that's how it was.
Well,
Because
in the
my friend was one of
2015
them.
version, they had a scene that was not in this version where they were chased, and it's pronounced, I don't know how it's pronounced. I always pronounced it Kaleidas. They called them Kaleidas, but they're not what was in the book. In the book, Kaleidas are half bear, half tiger.
Uh-huh.
And in this version, they talk like they're supposed to be shapeshifters. And one even looks like her mother and is like calling after her and trying to get her to give her the silver shoes. And then they all start attacking them, and they're like, I don't know what they're supposed to look like because they're like have glowing red eyes. They're all black. It's just kind of creepy, but they're not Kaleidos from the book. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that was from the stage version or if they added it only to the 2015 version. But then that leads into the poppy scene in the 2015 version.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
just remember it being like a Greek chorus.
yeah,
That was kind of that role.
but then you get to the poppies that after that in the movie version too, after the columns and garbage cans can't come to life for some reason. When they escape the subway, they get to the poppies, and I thought when I was watching it, I thought it was supposed to be some sort of nightclub, and these were like nightclub dancers, but apparently they're supposed to be prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I thought that maybe that was something from the stage play because it's supposed to be like the inner city version of Wizard of Oz. But I think they
Certainly not the
added it
way
only
we
to the
did it.
movie.
If
But I
that's
think
the
that they
case.
only added that to the movie because
Yeah.
in the 2015 version, the poppies are like literal flowers. They're humanoid, of course, but they're like literal flowers. And
Right.
I think that the whole scene is it supposed to be like an analogy to drugs because the poppies throw glitter on them.
I
Like,
think basically, yeah, I mean, I think it's just
well,
it's
poppies are the source of opium.
right. Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that's what it was supposed to be
I
referenced.
think those always have been kind of an analogy. The poppies are always kind of an analogy to drugs a little bit.
Even in the book?
Well, yeah, that I mean, I haven't read the book in like 20 years. But
I guess I haven't either. So
but I think I think that the witch is trying to drug them. So
okay.
that's why she used poppies, but I could be wrong.
Either way, they get knocked out in the movie version. In the 2015 version, the lion ties up the poppies and they escape fine.
Mm.
I don't know what the original stage play is supposed
Yeah.
to happen. I don't know what the original intent for that scene was, but it was very different in both versions.
Mm.
Like extremely different, especially if they are actually supposed to be prostitutes.
Right.
When I was watching it, I thought they were supposed to be like seedy lounge dancers,
Right.
but I guess it kind of makes sense because they were in kind of a back alley. So who knows? That was one of the things where it was like, this is kind of dark. And I was like, the movie was rated G, and I was like, I don't know if I would rate this G today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a different time.
Yeah.
It was a time before PG-13 and so I feel like everything was kind of bumped up one.
Yeah, definitely.
So like PG was really like there's some PG from the 80s that is like, well, this is like an R rating
Oh, I know.
now.
I discovered that one time when I borrowed something in the library. Traumatized teenage me.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful.
So in this one, since they're knocked out, they have like a brief, I don't know what. They find themselves on the roof for some reason. And I don't know what wakes them up because they're like drugged, and like in the book, they get woken up by. Wait, no, it's the mice that wake them up in the book. In the movie, it's Glenda, like the MGM version.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what's supposed to be waking them up in this version. Like the Scarecrow and the Tin Man are like sobbing over them, and then they're suddenly awake for some reason. I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was
It's true.
confused.
Yeah, I think they just wake up. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But then there was another song, The Lion, he acts like he's going to leap off the building. And there's another song here that was really boring. But then I think it's the same song in the 2015 version that I actually liked.
Yeah.
So it's another one where they did something in the movie version and it just kind of ruined the song.
Yeah, it's just kind of joyless. It just, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So then you get to Emerald City, and this is another thing that I actually did like. Emerald City is basically New York except green. And I
Right.
really liked that visual, even with the weird apple floating in the sky, which was bizarre. But I liked the idea of Emerald City looking like New York.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty creative.
It's another thing where I feel like they had a good opportunity and they just kind of missed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
So then they get inside of Emerald City and everything is like a fashion catwalk.
Right.
Was this from the stage play version? Because it's
That's
not in
definitely
the
not how we
2015
did it.
version. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Because I was a Munchkin in Emerald City, and resident, and then a flying monkey. And for the flying monkeys, we actually got like painters like suits, that you wear when you're painting, and we spray painted them with all different colors, and we kind of did the oh yeah and kind of thing. But honestly, I was so like fixated on trying to remember my dance moves that I didn't worry about what anyone else was doing, because it was so hard for me to remember those dance moves. But yeah, I mean, I think we were pretty simple. Like we had all of us at the Emerald City on kind of a platform, and then the had the wizard singing his song, and yeah, but it wasn't like a catwalk.
The reason that I was wondering if it was from the stage play or not, because I don't think that they did this in the 2015 version. Everything changed color twice. Like it started out green, and then there was a proclamation from the wizard that everything should be red. And then they had another dance number, like catwalk thing. And then there was another proclamation, everything turned gold, and they did it again. And I liked the visuals, but I didn't like it narratively, especially because Emerald City is supposed to be green always.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that for the 2015 version. So I just figured that was something they added to the movie version.
Right.
And another bizarre thing in the movie version, while the catwalk thing is happening, there are cameras and microphones walking around like they're living creatures. Like you can tell it's a costume with a person inside it, but it's the camera and microphone themselves that are just walking around, supposedly filming people. And I thought it was kind of funny. There's a CBS logo on them, except the circle in the middle of the eye of the CBS logo is Oz, like the O and the Z together.
Oh wow, you got such a good attention to detail to notice that.
Well, I found it kind of funny, especially later, learning that CBS, before the movie was out, before it bombed, CBS pledged like $10 million to get the airing rights to the movie, like to air it on TV.
Uh-huh.
So I'm guessing that this is supposed to be like product placement for them. Like this is supposed to represent the Oz version of their cameras.
Right.
I just thought that was really funny.
That is funny, for sure.
They get called up to the wizard after the whole catwalk thing, and there's the giant head thing. But the giant head thing looked horrible.
And in the play, the wizard has a song. So they cut that. They cut that
Oh,
out.
yeah, because there is a song in the 2015 version. Oh, and
Yeah.
we should talk about the 2015 version here because you find out who plays the wizard at this point, and it's Queen Latifah. So I
Hmm.
was like, I liked the choice because I was like having Queen Latifah play the wizard, but still playing him as male. I was like, it kind of gives him a different, I don't know,
Androgynous.
another otherworldly quality. That's how I felt about it, and I really liked that. But then, of
Hmm.
course, you find out that the wizard really is female. She's just been pretending to be male for some reason. I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
you wanted to see the wizard. That's the name of the song that the Wiz
Okay,
sings.
I really liked that scene, and I liked that song too.
Yeah, it's
So
fun.
that was another thing that they missed the mark by cutting that out.
That's
But
why it's so much fun to do for, like I said, for high school, because there's just so many solos. Like
yeah,
every lead character basically has their own song, which is the best for
yeah,
kids.
I never thought about that when I was watching it, but it would be the perfect one for like a high school to do
Hmm.
because nobody hogs the spotlight by getting all the songs.
Yeah, like my sister, her school did Into the Woods, which is a beautiful and very difficult Sondheim musical. But the problem I have with it, I don't really love the third act, but the problem I have with it is it's not a good one for high school because it only has like 12 people in the cast and very few uh there's a limited number of people that have songs, and so it's not a good one, I don't think, for high school to do.
Hmm.
We also did Bye Bye Birdie, which is a really really fun one for high school to do because it has lots of crowd scenes and it has lots of solos, so that's perfect to me, and it's just fun because you get to play, half of the people get to play, stodgy grown-ups, and half of them get to play teenagers. So
Hmm.
it's fun.
Yeah,
So
I never think about stuff like that because like I was never involved in any sort of drama thing. Like I was
I
homeschooled. It would have been weird for me to be putting on a play
oh
with my
yeah.
four brothers.
I mean, I
We
just
could
think
have, but
that as many people that want to participate should be allowed to participate. So you
hmm
shouldn't do shows that only have, like something like Diary of Anne Frank might be a beautiful show, a beautiful play, but it's got 6 parts. That's
hmm
hardly anyone gets to participate. But yeah, it's such a positive experience, and like, how do kids know if they liked something if they never get a chance to try?
hmm No, I think if I'd have been in any sort of, I don't know, public or private school, I probably would have tried out for something like that because
Yeah,
we did like singing and stuff. But that was one of the things that I never really even thought about. Like, I don't feel like I missed out on anything because I never wanted to because it wasn't ever something like it was available, I guess.
yeah,
But I probably would have tried if I had been around something like that.
yeah.
But anyway, after this, the wizard tells them that he wants them to kill the witch. Like he just says he wants them straight up killed.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's a little more direct than either the movie version or even the book version, because in the movie version he wants the broom, and in the book version he wants the magic eye.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, to get either of those things, you basically will have to kill the witch. But this one is just like straight to the point. Nope, I want the witch dead,
Yeah.
which I thought was kind of funny. He's just like he's really blunt about it. Kill the witch, and then I'll grant your wishes.
And I
And
don't like how they do Don't Nobody Bring Me and No Bad News in this, because that's such a fun song and it should be done with just so much like spunk in it. When I wake up in the afternoon, which pleases me to do, don't nobody bring me no bad news. And here it's just, I don't know. It's not my favorite.
yeah,
And I
in
think that's way better in 2015, and just even in every version, it's better. It's just such a fun song.
yeah, I think in this scene, meeting the witch, the movie version was the worst version.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
in every way, because the witch, there was nothing even fun about her.
Yeah.
Like I liked the 2015 version a lot better just because she had more personality, I guess. This one
Yeah.
she was just like she was an evil sweatshop owner, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what she was supposed to be exactly.
Yeah. And there's like nobody she's singing really the song too.
No,
She's just kind
and
of singing. She's not interacting with anybody really. And so
yeah,
it's just, I don't know.
the song she was like pointedly singing to specific people in the 2015 version.
Yeah.
So it
Agreed.
made a whole lot more sense. It's another one of those things where they totally missed the mark in the movie version.
Yeah.
But in the movie version, she's also hideously gross.
Right.
Like, she has weird, gross teeth. She's just gross. But the 2015 version, she's like beautiful in an evil way. Maybe kind of like more on the Maleficent side of evil. Like,
Uh-huh.
she holds herself in a certain way that the movie version did not. The movie version was just gross. Like, she's supposed to be gross. Like, the way she walked, everything about her was just like, I don't know. Gross is the only thing I can think of to say. She didn't have as
Yeah.
much personality or poise or
Well,
I don't
and
know.
the fire sprinkler is really stupid. If she was
Yeah.
if she was like allergic to water, why on earth would she install a fire system, sprinkler system? Like that's
If that is
crazy.
in the original play, it makes more sense the way they did it in the 2015 version. Like, in the 2015 version, they did have the bucket, but
Yeah.
if they had done the sprinkler system, I would have still said it made more sense because in the 2015 version, the witch has taken over a factory. Like, it was never hers. She just took it over. But in
Mm-hmm.
this version, the factory is hers, so she obviously
Yeah.
had the sprinkler system installed.
Right.
So she's basically signed her own death warrant here,
Yeah.
which is really stupid of her.
Yeah.
She just
Agreed.
didn't seem very smart at all. And, like, she has the flying monkeys, which she sends out to capture Dorothy and her friends. I loved the flying monkeys in the 2015 version.
Yeah.
But in the movie version, they were awful. They were the
Agreed.
most gross, horrible, creepy lipped gorilla people who ride motorcycles. It was like, why did they put so little effort into these monkeys? Because the monkeys are supposed to be like the most memorable thing. And these were really gross and ugly, but compared to all the other stuff, totally forgettable. But the
Yeah.
monkeys in the 2015 version, I think they hired from the credits, I think they hired Cirque du Soleil people to be the monkeys because
Mm.
they had them doing all sorts of acrobatic flips. I think they had some of them strung up on wires. The whole scene was just so cool
Yeah.
and looked great. But
Well, and
in the movie
Everybody
version, they
Rejoice
were
should be a
awful.
fun song like that, but it's not great.
No,
Not
that
great.
I was not impressed with the Flying Monkeys at all. I
Right.
did wonder though, with the Flying Monkeys being a motorcycle gang, have you ever seen the Muppets Wizard of Oz?
I have not. I've heard
The,
mixed things. I've
the monkeys are a motorcycle gang in that one too, and I'm wondering if the Muppets took a cue from the Wiz. But like you said, in the movie version, she gets hit by a sprinkler system, and that melts her. And then in the 2015 version, she gets hit by the water bucket.
yeah,
And
which is way
in
better.
in the was her chair supposed to be a toilet? Because there was
Mhm.
like a flushing noise when she
Yeah,
like the 2015 version, way better.
right.
She like the special effects, that would have been like impressive to see in real life. Like, she's in a specific place where she needs to stand because she's going to be pulled underneath while being covered in smoke. But in the movie version, she's sitting on her chair and she just sort of falls backwards, and you can tell she's falling into a hole because they make no attempt to cover her up with steam or smoke or whatever. And then it sounds like I could have sworn there was a toilet flushing noise.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
No,
is
there
the chair
definitely
supposed to be a
is.
toilet? This is really dumb. In the movie version, what was going on with the Winkies? Because first they look like these horrible ogre people. Like, they
Yeah,
have really awful faces and they're in these bulky.
yeah. And then it turns into like a nightclub,
I
basically.
it was weird. But then at this point, you get the weirdest scene. I mean, there's a lot of weird scenes. But the Winkies, they all start unzipping their faces, and it turns out that they're actually hot. They were horribly ugly, and now they're beautiful. And I don't know if that was supposed to be a curse being lifted or if she just made them wear these bags over their head.
Yeah.
But they start unzipping their faces, but they don't stop at their faces. They unzip everything, and suddenly they're all dancing around in their underwear.
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah, all of a sudden it's
what
like a
am I
nightclub
watching
scene.
now? It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
So bizarre. And this is
It-
another thing. It's like, why is this rated G? This
You're
should be,
right. Yeah.
I mean, at best, this is PG, and I would give it PG-13 for this scene alone.
Yeah.
Like, kids don't need to see all these people dancing around in their underwear.
Yeah, and there's really nothing in this movie for kids. Like it's just not
No, not
like
really.
Dorothy's not even a kid. Like there's nothing for kids.
Yeah, this if I wanted to show a kid The Wiz, I would show them the 2015 version in a
Oh, for
heartbeat over
sure.
this thing. This thing is not. I really don't know who this one was made for because, I mean, I liked some of the choices, but I don't think I would choose to watch it again. It's just
Yeah,
if I
agreed.
want the Wiz experience, I'm going to watch the 2015 version.
Yeah, I agreed for sure.
But yeah, that whole scene, that was just weird. The 2015 version has a similar scene, but it's basically they're taking off their work uniforms and they have dance costumes underneath.
Yeah, I think that we actually took off the painter suit thing, and then had some kind of bright clothing or whatever.
Yeah,
underneath.
that's basically what the 2015 version did. And
Yeah.
that made more sense and it was a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was random underwear dance party. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then in this version, they get a ride on the Flying Monkeys bikes, which doesn't
Right.
happen in the 2015 version because the Flying Monkeys are not a motorcycle gang. And in the movie version, they go in a back way to get into see the wizard to tell him that the witch is dead. And in the 2015 version, they have to trick the doorman, which I don't remember what happened in the book, so I don't remember if that's close to the book or not. But either way, that's how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So they get in, and in the movie version, all of the wizard's things are just lying around in an empty room, like even the giant head.
Uh-huh.
And he's like asleep in his pajamas, I think. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in the 2015 version, but I think it's basically the same, except here they find out that the wizard is actually female. And a lot of it happens similarly, aside from the gender reveal. And the wizard in the movie version, he talks about being like a failed politician in Atlantic City. And like he was making one last bid for office as a dog catcher, trying to drop leaflets from a hot air balloon when he was whisked off to Oz. And in the 2015 version, it basically happened in the way that it was in the book, I think. Like she worked at a carnival, I think. I don't know. Either way, she was in
Yeah.
Omaha, Nebraska, like she's supposed to be.
Right.
But there was one line in the movie version that I actually loved. I don't know if this is supposed to be a quote from somebody, but it's one of the times where the scarecrow pulls out a quote from his body. And when he talks about being a politician, he says, "Public office is the last refuge of the incompetent." And I about died laughing.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just little moments like that that I really did like in the movie version. Just the overall experience was not cohesive enough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are some moments, but and some of the singing is fine,
Mhm.
but yeah, not doesn't work together.
But in the 2015 version, it plays out quite similarly to how it's supposed to in the book. But in the movie version, he can't even get the hot air balloon working. He's not even going to try. He's like really pathetic. Dorothy is the one who, quote unquote, gives her friends the gifts. Like she tells them how brave they are, how much heart they have, how smart they are, which I did like. It made sense, but it didn't happen the way it was supposed to. It was a good choice for this version, I guess, though. And then
Yeah.
you have Glenda coming in, and that's where you get the reveal that this giant celestial goddess is actually the Good Witch of the South.
Right.
But I still don't know what all those star babies were supposed to be. It's just weird.
I do like Believe in Yourself. I think it's a pretty song. It's not done that. It's pretty bland here, but
Yeah,
when it's done well, I think it's a very pretty song.
yeah, definitely. The everything from here to the end, basically in the movie version, I was just kind of bored by, especially Dorothy's song when she's leaving.
Yeah,
But in
it's
the
such a pretty
2015
song, but yeah,
version,
not done that well. So
yeah, in the 2015 version, everything plays out so much more entertainingly. Like
yeah.
the Good Witch of the North comes back, Ada Pearl, and she introduces Glenda. And in the 2015 version, Glenda is played by Uzo Aduba. And you probably don't know this, but I recognize her as the voice of Bismuth on Steven Universe.
Oh,
So I know
okay.
that she has a great singing voice. So she was perfect.
Yeah, she was good. She's famous, I guess, for being on the show Orange is the New Black.
Hmm.
She
I've
was
never seen that,
given
but I
name.
recognized her as the voice of Bismuth. Although I just remembered there was something about the 2015 version that I didn't like. The end of the 2015 version played out very similarly to the book, but in the end, the one really dumb choice that I thought to change was not having the balloon leave on accident. The balloon leaves without her on purpose because she chose to stay behind. And this is the dumbest reason. Like, I loved the movie up until this point. I was like, what? She chose to stay behind because the wizard was going back to Omaha. Like, her whole dilemma in the movie was trying to figure out which was home because she was born in Omaha. That's where her parents were, and her parents died. And her aunt and uncle were in Kansas. So she had to figure out where she thought home was. So in the end, they had her choose not to go back to Omaha because that wasn't home. I guess in their mind, she's choosing her aunt over her memories of her parents. But I thought that this was the dumbest thing because Nebraska is literally right next to Kansas. Just get an Uber. I don't know what time period this is supposed to be, but you can find transportation between Nebraska and Kansas a whole lot
Yeah,
easier than Oz. And
right.
so that was dumb. But then it leads into the whole Glenda showing up. And yeah, it turned out fine, but I was like, that is a really dumb choice.
That's fair. I'll grant you that.
The wizard is whisked away by the balloon, which brings in the good witch. So after she comes in and sings her song, that's when Dorothy has her song. And movie version, I was so bored. Like it's like she's flying through a tunnel and there was like flashbacks happening like for the movie that you just watched there's flashbacks of things that she'd been through and the song is so long. I was so bored.
Hmm.
The 2015 version doesn't do that. I don't remember exactly how it plays out, but I was not bored. In the movie version, she gets home and walks into the house, and that's it. Like, you don't even see her aunt and uncle again. And in the 2015 version, I don't know how it is in the stage play, but even at the beginning, the uncle was not around. Like, I'm sure he was there, he just wasn't part of the show.
Uh-huh.
So when she gets home, like they have the whole click your heels together 3 times, and she actually gets home and she sees her aunt again. Like they meet up at the end. And Toto, of course, like I said, was missing in the whole thing.
Hmm.
So they had to have Toto come back at the end and have like them be reunited. But anyway,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
end of the 2015 version, so much better in every way.
I agree. It has way more heart and you feel the connection more. It's just way better. So yeah, so The Wiz is a show that I do have a fondness for because it was a very exciting experience to be in it. The movie is not my favorite, but honestly, most movies based on musicals are not the best. There's obviously some good ones, but they struggle to translate Broadway into movies for the most part. So
Yeah, and I think that they struggled with this one because,
yes, they definitely did.
like I said, I felt like there was so many good ideas here, but they just missed the mark at almost every turn. They nailed some things. They had some really good ideas, but they totally missed the mark on almost everything.
I agree.
But the 2015 version, so much better in every way. I guess that's about all I've got. Yeah, this is a good version or a good adaptation, depending on who is doing it.
Or yeah, it has a lot of energy. I think the songs are pretty fun. It's just not a great movie.
Yeah. No, if you can find a copy of the stage version, which I believe they released on DVD, the 2015 version, definitely watch that one. I actually went and found that. It's in my Amazon basket, waiting to be bought when I feel like I have money, because I liked it so much. I'm not planning on buying the 78 version.
No. So, well, it was a fun bit of nostalgia to go back and remember getting to be in The Wiz. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that was the main reason that I wanted you to be on the Wiz episode with me, just because you knew the play a little more than I did.
Yeah.
Well, a lot more, because you were in it and I just saw it at Best Buy.
Right.
But yeah, this was fun. I think we're going to be doing another episode of Christmas Carol Countdown in December.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, me too. I always love finding new versions, and I think you've found some interesting ones for me. So that'll be fun. So we will see you in December. And do you want to let people know where they can find you in the meantime?
Yes, you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes and YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. And also, I'm the host of the Hallmarkies podcast. And so we have a ton of fun doing that. We're just diving into Christmas already. And I'm really ready to go. So check that out.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again to Rachel for joining me for this episode. I'll have links to all her stuff in the description. She's a prolific podcaster with plenty of shows to choose from, so no matter your taste in movies, she's likely covered something you'll be interested in. Next time I'll be bringing you a shorter episode on my own. In my research for this series, I found an animated short, the very first animated version of The Wizard of Oz, and it was very short, so I decided I'd just talk about it by myself. So I'll see you next time for another episode of OzTober on iHeart Movies. Thanks for listening.